All right, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well this Monday night. Glad to have each and everybody here join us again here for, golly, I believe 11th year straight. Actually, about 12th year straight now. I think we're coming up on the 12-year anniversary of starting Note Night in America. Previously, the Monday Note and our other stuff that we've done way before. Most of y'all were around us, but anyway. Honored to have each and everybody join us here from all across the country, both in person and then those that are also joining us on YouTube or also catching the replay later on. So glad to have each and everybody join us here. Hopefully this webinar, this hour we're together here today, tonight, whatever time it is, depending on where you're located, answers some questions, because I've been getting a lot of questions, a lot of people calling and asking about note investing. It's becoming a very, very hot topic out there. So if you guys are note investors and sharing what you're doing, you're probably gonna have an easier time raising capital and finding deals or getting people calling to fund your deals, because that's what's happening to us. People are calling, picking my brain about it. And anyway, we'll get into kind of what we're doing tonight. That's where tonight's topic came in, because I got multiple questions, not only from existing students, but some past students as well that have come back into the fold. Hey, can you do an episode on breaking down a tape or breaking down and dissecting a note tape? Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's been a while since we've done one. Let's do one, because we just got a tape in on Thursday or Friday last week that we're actually making offers on. And so I thought I would just go through kind of our decision-making process of going through that tonight for you guys. But before we dive into that, once again, thank you again for being here. If this is your first time on Note Night in America, glad to have you here. We've been doing these since 2011. Man, time flies when you're having fun. You can always check out the episodes. We've been a little late getting the replays up on our favorite podcast platforms, but you're starting to see at least 1 to 2 Note Night in America is being released on the Note Night in America podcast. Of course, all the videos, which is I think what most people enjoy watching, are on our YouTube channel. You can always subscribe to our YouTube channel at weclosenotes.tv. If you're not subscribed, do so to that. There's a lot of great information. We're coming up on 1,550 videos on our YouTube channel. Wow. And then we've got we've got the number 1 channel for note investors out there in YouTube, and the number 1 podcast, with it being the Note Closers Show podcast with over 1.2 million downloads. And then, of course, really excited, our Note Camp podcast series is coming up on the 100,000 download mark as well, which we're pretty excited about there. And we're releasing a weekly episode of the replays from this previous Note Camp 2022 on the Note Camp Live podcast. Make sure you listen, check it out, leave us a 5-star review if you would, not mind. But want to let you guys know we do have our next 3-day workshop upcoming this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come hell, high water, weather, back spasms, everything. Yes, this Friday, starting at 9 a.m. Each day will start at 9 a.m. We'll wrap up Friday and Saturday about 5. Sunday, wrap up around 2 or 3. But it is our final virtual 3-day workshop of the year. No, we're not doing one in November. No, we're not doing one in December, because we expect to be busy closing on a ton of deals. All right. And if you're interested in getting a ticket to this, it's normally $9.97. We're running a half price sale. That half price goes away Thursday. Okay. So it's $4.98. That includes not only the replays of the previous class that we taught a couple months, the replays of this workshop, a 200-page manual, and boom, 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 drum roll, please, 4 weeks of implementation calls on Wednesday nights. So Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Central, we'll be doing an hour call for the next 4 weeks for those that take the class and get signed up. And that'll help you implement more, take advantage of what's going on in the market. It's like drinking from a fire hydrant for me for 3 days. Plus, we throw in some extra videos for you. And then you get the 4 weeks afterwards for me to help hold your hand to get things rocking and rolling for it. Because the reason we do it in this October is so that come to November, by Thanksgiving, you've gone through the 4-week implementation and you're ready to turn and burn come the first week of December through the rest of the year, and then into Q1 for you as well. So go to notebuyingfordummies.com to get signed up. That's notebuyingfordummies.com. Get signed up there. Check it out. You're going to go. If you're a WC and Crew member, that's included with your monthly membership. All right. But that's this coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you're going to be a note investor, you need to be there. That's all I got to say. If you're not a note investor, not planning on doing anything, then do yourself a favor. Just go chill, do whatever you're doing. You ain't got to be on tonight, because it's not going to help you if you're not going to take action and make phone calls, reach out to asset managers. not trying to be an ass. It is just, those are the simple things you have to do. And people are finding success. Those that are working full-time, those are working more than full-time, are doing it in the times that they have available. So there's no excuses for everybody out there. There are plenty of deals, plenty of opportunities. You just got to do the work and get on yourself and take action. All right, let's move on tonight. Anyway, dissecting note tapes. You know, we all get different lists in from asset managers. We get stuff in. I've had 2 Joker Broker tapes sent to me this week that I've seen over a month ago. Actually bid on a big chunk of them already, which is kind of funny. But let's talk about this. What do you do when you get a tape in, and does it make sense? How do you find the deals in the note stack? So let's go through the basic information. And I encourage you to ask questions. All right. Leave the questions relevant to where we're at. Don't ask me about something that we're not talking about. It throws us off for everybody here. But anyway, when you get a tape in, there are some things you need to do immediately. Okay. No, let's not start pulling values, not start calculating your dollar bills, your profits. Just hang on with me. The first thing you got to ask is this. Before you do anything else, you got to ask, what's the price? What do you want for this stuff? If you want par or you want over UPB, no, don't be smoking some crack, okay? I was talking to an asset manager out in California this afternoon. He's like, yeah, there's still some people that are smoking some crack out there with what they want to sell this stuff for. That's okay. They will get burned if they don't start realizing that the market's changing. But you got to ask, what's the pricing guidelines? What are you looking for on this? Because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time putting a bid in. If they're not, and they're going to tell you best, highest, and best, okay, that's fine. I'll take highest and best. But if they say par, just laugh and move on. Okay. If it's non-performing, they want 90 cents of the dollar, just laugh and move on. Okay. That's the best thing. Now you can also ask, when are bids due? When do I need to get a bid into you by? ASAP, yesterday, I got a month. I got till the 25th, what? Okay. Next thing you want to ask, well, how many people are seeing this? Are you blasting this out to the masses of a couple hundred? Or is it just going to me? Am I the first one to take a look at that? And am I a preferred seller or a preferred buyer in some cases? You know, am I able to make loan level pricing, which means cherry picking? Or do I have to submit you an all-in bid where I'm buying everything? Okay. Either good, the bad, the ugly, or can I just cherry pick what I want? And then you also, here's a big thing you have to ask. You have to make sure it isn't a Joker Broker tape. Now, this is like, how do you know it's a Joker Broker, Scott? Well, first thing, one, if you look at the tape and the street addresses are removed, it's sanitized. That's a Joker Broker, okay? You can't do any due diligence. You can't make any offers on a sanitized tape where there's no street addresses. That's a Joker Broker. Second thing is that somebody wants you to submit a letter of intent and a proof of fund before you bid. That's a Joker Broker. Okay. If anybody asks you for a non-refundable deposit, that's a Joker Broker. Okay. If you get a spreadsheet in and it's all kind of wonky, and I look at the loan numbers, and if the loan numbers are all different, like one loan number is 9 digits, another one's 5 and 3, it looks like somebody's copied and pasted. Part of the reason I tell you guys when you get a tape in is to reach out to me, is I can do a quick search and look at that tape and say, hey, this is a Joker Broker, or hey, they got this from this website, or hey, this has been around for 6 months. Don't waste your time on it. I think Larry, one of my students, got a tape in a few months back that had like 1,200 assets. And we were all excited, 1,200 assets. Like, whoa, that's a big tape. And then I looked at it like, oh, this tape was out 6 months ago. This tape is not 1,200. It's now about 200 because I own some of these assets, or these assets have been bounced around for a while. So if you get a tape in, make sure it's legit. Look at the guy's email address that's sending it from. If it's not the company on there, you can also just take a second and pull up an address and go into the county records and take a look for who the assignment of mortgage is. Pretty simple to see who the seller is on this stuff and if it matches up, okay? But like I've had a lot of people email, oh, I got this tape. It's like, those bids have been due over a month, or that's from one website. That's a paper stack website that just downloaded. It's not nothing legit. Do not be an asshole and fill out, do a download from a website like that and then send it out. That's just a waste of time for real true note buyers. Okay. So, but here's the thing. When you get a spreadsheet in, which a spreadsheet is a tape, okay? Tape is just an Excel sheet. You gotta start filtering. You gotta organize a tape. So it's the easiest thing for you to take a look at, because most of these tapes are gonna be organized by loan numbers, right? Alphabetized numeric order by loan number. That's not always the easiest way to filter it. So you have to go back in here and resort it and filter the spreadsheet. The first thing I do is I look, okay, by lien type. Is it a first or seconds? If it's going to be first, great. If it's got a bunch of seconds, I want to get rid of the seconds. I'm not going to waste my time. So I'm going to filter by lien position, and I'm just deleting up the seconds. I'm not going to waste my time on a second lien. Okay, just first liens. And this is my philosophy. You may be a second lien investor and may do the opposite thing. Get rid of the first, keep the seconds. That's totally up to you. I'm not here to tell you which way you should go or not. I'm right, though. But anyway, the idea here, ladies and gentlemen, is just start slice and dicing. We did a short mini episode this morning on being a samurai note investor, learning to slice and dice like Jim Belushi from back in Saturday Night Live. You have to start thinking that not every deal is going to be deal. You can always go back and pull the normal spreadsheet from where you got it from, either your email or download, but start saving it as a separate file folder and start saving it on your computer where you got it from, so you can be a little bit more organized. That's what saves me. As I get tapes in, and I can do a search by an address or two and tell you exactly when that first tape came out and who was the person that sent it out. Okay. Now, once you get rid of the bad liens, the second liens, then we reorganize it by state and then city, not by city state. You want to organize by state then city. Okay. You don't want Columbus, Georgia, and Columbus, Ohio being next to each other. All right. You don't want Austin, Texas next to Austin, Minnesota. Big difference. Organize it by state, then by city. Okay. And I get rid of the ones in New York and New Jersey. If you're in New Jersey or in Philadelphia, born and raised on the playgrounds where you spent most of your days, New Jersey, if it's a vacant asset, it might be something to look at because there's expedited foreclosure. But if you're not in that neck of the woods, just go ahead and get rid of the Empire State and the land of Tony Soprano. Okay. Jersey Shore. You just go ahead and get rid of it. It just takes too long to foreclose in those two states. All right. Now, some people say, well, Scott, I'm brand new. If you're a brand new investor, yes, get rid of New York and New Jersey. You don't want those time frames. But then start going through the city list, the states. Pick your 3 to 5 states and just focus on those. If you start looking at, and the big thing I tell people is when they're making an offer, and I was like, do you know where that asset is? And if it's rural and they don't know, if they've never heard of it beforehand, it's probably not a good idea. Okay. Now there are some exceptions, performing notes, long season history. We'll get that later on. But really, if you're buying non-performing stuff, you probably don't want to be in a rural podunk town where there's one flashing stoplight, and the sheriff is also the realtor, the bail bondsman, and then also the judge. Okay, that's a bad thing in some of these small towns. All right, I'm joking a little bit here, but if you really don't recognize the city and state where it's at, it's probably not worth it. You want to stick in the larger cities, the larger metroplexes, and kind of going from there. Okay, problem areas. There are some problem areas like Chicago is a bit of a problem area. Gary, Indiana can be a little rougher. I mean, some of these cities are going through gentrification. You need to know, okay? Memphis, Tennessee, you need to know on a block by block basis, but it's all right. If you've got friends, family there, that's good, okay? The next thing I like to do after I get rid of the cities or get rid of the stuff I don't buy is then I want to look at occupancy type. That's for me, okay? Because I like non-performing notes that are occupied. I don't want to take the property back. I want to try to get the borrower back on track with performing. So if you want vacant assets and take the property back yourself, then you would get rid of occupied assets to keep the vacant ones, which you're going to probably get deed and liens or foreclosures on. Or like I said, get rid. If it's unknown, then that's fine. But if it's vacant, if it's rural, it probably is more better for a firefighter team photo. Okay. You can also then filter by performance, the status, legal stats, performing, non-performing, 0 to 30 days, 60 to 90 days, BK, REO. I like to look at performing for the most part too. A lot of you guys out there, I want passive returns, so performing would be a way to look at. Non-performing, you probably want to delete it off your list if you're just looking to use your own money and buying performing. Okay. You may then want to get rid of property type. Now, you may like mobile homes. I don't necessarily like mobile homes unless they're in really 2 states, Texas and Florida for the most part. So you might get rid of those. Or if it's not something that's your cup of tea, get rid of them. We've got a student, Montrese, who loves mobile homes if it's in the southeast part of the United States. So he'll look at just about anywhere for that stuff, okay? You may not want to buy raw land or lots. You may want to get rid of that, okay? And then you also, once you've reorganized it and gotten rid of the property types you don't want after you filtered it, then you probably want to resort it again by low UPB, and UPB stands for unpaid principal balance. and then really get ones that have really low balances. Now, starting off, you're probably going to buy some low balance stuff to get the feet wet. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. We all got to learn. You might as well start off on an easy way. You know, I've got some great students. They bought their first note. They end up paying like $1,600. It's $200 a month payment. It's a pretty good ROI to them. And that's a great day for them. Okay. For me, I don't necessarily want to buy something that's low UPB or has low payments. Okay. I want something that's going to be around probably at least 10, 15 years or longer on the payment side. Now, you may also, too, if they've got low value, many of these funds, they're not going to pull BPOs or pay to have values done. They're going to pull like a Zillow value or a Zestimate or an estimated value off of Truly or something like that. Okay. But those that show low value or they have pulled the BPO or done an appraisal and see low value, you probably want to get rid of low value ones too, unless it's in an area that you're comfortable with. Okay. All right. That's the thing to look at. Like, I'll give you an example. Down on the Gulf Coast, down by Corpus Christi, I grew up in a small town, 10,000 people now. If they showed an empty lot there, I would probably pick it up just because I could get it up cheap and I would have it for a spot down there. You know what I mean? There are exceptions to every rule. I'm just telling you, keep in mind, if it's not in your wheelhouse, you probably don't waste time. And this is an important thing because I've seen investors literally spaz out, start shaking, start crying, roll up into the field position, start rocking themselves and start sucking their thumbs and that calling, mama, mama, when they get a tape in. Now, you don't want to do that. Okay. You have to take a deep breath, relax, and realize that not all 100 or 200 or 500 assets are deals. A lot of these are not the ones you don't even look at. The idea is to get it down to the top 3 to 5 states. You're buying criteria, you're buying box, states, values, UPBs, and asset classes, and occupancy type that you like. Okay, if you don't know that, then you really need to spend time and take the class so you understand your buy box, okay, your buying criteria. So that's filtered through and kind of, okay, once you've done that and slice and dice off the stuff that you don't want to, then you've got a pretty good tape. Now it's the time to start running numbers. Oh, another thing here too, you probably, unless you're using your own money, you probably want to get rid of really low monthly payments. Like if the P&I payment's below $100 and it's a non-performing, you're not going to make any money. Okay. If it's performing and it's in a state that you've got a servicer that's really cheap servicing wise, then it might make sense, especially if you're using your own funds or IRA. But for the most part, I like to stick above $250 a month on the P&I payment, unless I'm using my own money, it's gonna be really cheap and the ROI is gonna be good, and that's we go for that. But you have to start figuring in. They start getting below 200 and you have a non-performing payment that costs you $70 to $90 a month for workouts, depending on the servicing company. It may not make sense. All right. Now that you've gotten rid of, you've got a fourth of what you were looking at, or a fifth, or maybe half, who knows? Now it's time to start looking at your numbers. And now this slide, guys, we're going to go through, but after the slide, I'm going to probably pull up a spreadsheet and literally dive into it so you can see me do it from start to finish for you for the most part. Get to the point where I'm making offers. Is that fair? Okay, good. And look, this is things you have to look at. Is there a legal balance? You know, a legal balance is usually the UPB plus late fees or late payments, okay? If they just show UPB, but no legal balance, then you have to kind of calculate the legal balance. How would you do that? Well, just take how many months behind they are. Look at the last month paid, figure out how many months that is. If they're 5 years behind, that's 60 months times the P&I payment and multiple, that gives you, the rearages, and then take that rearage number and add it to the UPB. That'll give you roughly the legal balance, okay? Now, most of them should have an estimated fair market value. If they don't have a value, just use Zillow to start off with. You got to realize we're on the front end of doing due diligence. If they have not provided a BPO or what their number is, they're doing the exact same thing, and you can whittle down and finalize value in due diligence. If it says 100 grand online, great, make your value at 100 grand. If it comes out $50,000 or it's a whole lot less with market being like it is during your BPO or due diligence, then you can fade your bid or cancel it and then go from there. Okay. But if your legal balance is available and you have an estimated fair market value or some valuation, then it's pretty easy. Take your legal balance and subtract that from the fair market value. If the legal balance is above the fair market value, you're going to have a negative number. That means that they owe more than the property's worth. It's negative equity. Yay! They owe more than the property's worth. It's underwater. If it's a positive number, then it means equity. It means the borrowers have some equity, and you got to figure out, okay, how much equity do they have, plus or minus? So you take whatever that number is, and then divide that number by the fair market value, or estimated value. That'll give you a rough equity percentage, 20%, 10%, 50%. You know, it's important to know dollar amount wise how much they have in equity potentially, and then also percentage wise. Okay. Now, what would you do next? Well, I would re-rank it by the equity percentage. Okay. Now you could go equity number, which is kind of what I do. I rank it by, so that way when I get down where, let's say at the tape now, I've got assets I have anywhere from, you know, 100 grand and above down to 0. Well, I'm going to probably, based on what's going on in the market, anything that shows at least 20 to 50 grand in equity, that's probably being close to negative equity. If values are changing, they may not have anything. So basically, I'm going to treat everything from about $50,000 in equity to all the way down to the negative side as 0 to not much equity. And then I'm going to run basically a quick stair-step pricing. I'm going to take the fair market value and multiply that times 40. I mean, 25, 35, 45, 55, or 65% to figure out what my initial bid might be, minus taxes. We'll get to that later on. But that's a stair step. If it's in those numbers, that's kind of well rough. That's just a guide, okay? If there is equity, I'm probably going to just run a number, anything at that $50,000 in equity and above, I'm probably going to just say, okay, 80, multiply it times 80% of the UPB or legal side. I'll run them both numbers, depending where it's at. There's equity. Even a non-performing, I'd probably look at, I'm just going to run that in to run some numbers. I'm probably going to go back and adjust that number based on 1 or 2 more steps, but I'm just going to run that to get a rough idea. Okay, 80% of UPB is this number, and then I got to figure out the next thing. So then I'm going to insert a column. Of course, I've inserted columns to figure these along the way. Insert a column where I'm going to take my 12 months of principal and interest payments. So I'm going to take my P&I payment times 12. That gives me what if I can get them reinstated, that's the number. And then I'm going to divide that 12 months of potential numbers by, all right, my offer. So if it's a stair-step price, I'm going to, anywhere from 35 to 65. If it's with equity, divide that number, that 12 months divided by 80% of whatever the UPB is. That's going to give me a rough gross number, okay? No, I haven't deducted servicing costs. No, I haven't deducted insurance costs. No, I haven't deducted taxes. I'm just running this number here on the front end. I haven't even looked at the assets for the most part, okay? And go from there. But that's going to give me some rough numbers, and that will give me my higher valued assets to look at. And what am I going to do? I'm going to resort it by my estimated ROI and go lowest to highest and spend my time basically on the ones that are at least 15% or greater. Okay. Then I'll do a deeper dive into checking values and taxes on that stuff. Now, the ones that have lower ROIs, I'm going to go back in and adjust my numbers, recalculate my numbers so they're at least somewhere around a 15 to 25% cash and cash return. And that's where my bids are going to be at. On the non-performing stuff, that's where I'm going to be. I need to see a 15 to 25% cash and cash return just on the reinstatement side, okay? I haven't even calculated if I'm going to foreclose, because basically most of the time I've gotten rid of the vacant assets, okay? But if I'm sitting in at, I'm buying at less than 70% of value or less, I'm going to be usually pretty okay until we get into specific numbers. I'm not really going to worry that much right now. There's no reason to worry because I'm just making initial offerings. Okay, but if I'm at 40 assets out of 250, I'll feel pretty good and start looking at conditions and looking at where the asset is at a little bit more so, looking at taxes quickly and then getting a bid in. Because my goal is to have the spreadsheet broken down in about an hour, all right, to help you guys understand where you're at and going from there, what you need to focus on, what you don't need to focus on, okay? So any questions about that before we literally dive into the tape? Anybody got any questions, comments, concerns, scared? I'm sure you will. And we're going to spend a big chunk of time on Sunday of the workshop this weekend, actually going through the tape a whole lot more intense, doing more due diligence, more step-by-step stuff. This coming Saturday and Sunday. But I wanted to go through this with you guys tonight to kind of see a little bit of how we go. All right, so nobody's asking me any questions. Okay, let's go on and share the. We'll jump up and share the spreadsheet. No, I will not email this spreadsheet out. So don't ask, because it's a tape we're actually working on right now. Okay. It is, you guys can see my spreadsheet. Let's just go with the screen here so you can see my screen. Okay, let's time this. I just want to do this 7:30 right now, so we've been going for about 25 minutes. Let's just go ahead and see how long it takes me to break this down. And I'm going to do this and go. All right, so we've got the spreadsheet. We have the master ID, which is the loan number, the servicing loan number, the servicer's all land home, the due date means that, when's the most recent payment made, when's the due for the next, the principal and interest payment, the taxes and insurance, when the history payment was cut. So this tape was pulled August 31st. So it's just about a month and a half old, which is normal. Deferred balance may be anything that's been covered by the lender, forced place insurance, taxes, that kind of stuff. The UPB, which is important, we're going to go ahead and highlight that because that's necessary. So we know where that's at. Same thing, principal and interest, we're going to go highlight that because we're going to need to come back to that. Estimated legal balance, yay. Latest property value, yay. Latest property value date, boo. Okay, these are all from last year, which, all right, they're probably less, okay. Last payment made date, you can see some of these are recent, of these are not. Okay, days since last payment. Yep, we got some, that's 3.5 years, 2 years, 4 years, 5,000 days. Oh, craziness. Where the last payment made since is like 30 to 60 days, no payments, 120 plus days, no payments. You can kind of see that stuff all the way down there, no payments. It may say bankruptcy, so they filed bankruptcy. The interest rate of the loan. Modification flag, yes or no. So it tells you when it was modified. And the modification date tells you the lien type, first, seconds, okay? Original term, how many months? Remaining months. When the loan matures. When it was supposed to originally mature, most of these are all the same. If there's a BK, yes or no. This is important, foreclosure start date. Has the previous seller started to foreclose, which is important, and that's a good thing. Most, you can see a lot of these are started right pre-COVID or before COVID. Borrower last name, co-borrower last name, original loan origination date, yes. Original loan amount, yes. The original lender, we don't really give a rat's ass about. Original interest rate, original P&I payment, first payment due date, ARM or fixed. Loan purpose, if it was a purchase, a refinance, it says missing, they just don't know if it was a purchase or refinance, that's fine. The property address, state, city, zip, sometimes you'll have county, there's the county in there. Property type, the current occupancy, if they know it. If there's a BK case, there you go. The BK case number, the type of BK, 13 or 7. The BK status L means it's, L stands for, oh my God, live, I guess, I don't know. D usually means discharged, okay? And then when that BK was filed, okay? All right, so where do we begin? Well, I said, first thing we get rid of is we're gonna organize this by city, state. All right, it's already organized by city, state, yay! Alabama, Arkansas, all the way down to West Virginia, okay? So since we've got that organized, what's the next thing I said? Let's get rid of the states we don't want. Sorry, Frank and Paul, but no New York, New Jersey. Okay. We're going to get rid of those. Oh, shucks. So that's going to take us down because this is originally over 200 plus assets. So we're going to get rid of a chunk right there that you ain't got to worry about. Okay. I'm just going to delete them off because I've got the original tape. I can always go back in. So we get rid of a bunch. Deleted those rows. That leaves us back with mostly good stuff. There we go. Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, lots of Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Illinois. Oh, sorry. We're getting rid of Chicago. It's just not a good city. We're going to get rid of everything in Cook County. Actually, Cook, well, that's not. Because Cook is just a pain in the ass to foreclose in. Crook County, as I say. And that's, I think it's Indiana. Okay, Indiana, Louisiana. Louisiana can be a bit of a duff, but these are in Baton Rouge, New Orleans. I have no idea where all up, or I know where Princeton is. Winsboro, I don't know. Okay, so now there you go. We've got kind of a cleaner tape that's taken us from 254 assets down to 129. So we basically have cut this tape in half just like that. Okay, now let's do this as well. Let's go over here and get rid of some of you guys. Property type. I don't want mobile homes. That's my opinion for the most part. I'm going to hit manufactured home with land. Multifamily, take a look at single family attached. Okay, great. Now I'm going to look at these. If these are in Texas or places I have friends that might know, Las Cruces, New Mexico. I've looked at this one. This is way the heck out. No, almost Area 51. I'm just joking. Yellowham, Washington. I don't know where the hell that is. Alexander, Arkansas. Webster, Kentucky. Princeton, Louisiana. Yeah, we're just going to get rid of those. All right, just getting rid of those. All right. When we deleted that, okay. Now we're going to bring up all the property types again. So that should give us what we like. 2 families, condos, multifamily. Okay, we're pretty good so far. Okay. Now let's do this. I'm not a big fan. Let's go back over here and resort it by balances. Okay. Custom sort. And we're going to go by, oh, my data has headers. We're going to delete one level and change it to current UPB. Our UPB, smallest to largest. All right. So there we go. Here's the UPB. Let's make that black because so you can see it. All right, so we got low balances like 20,000 and up. Okay. Really kind of my cutoff. I like to be at least at 25. Let's see where some of these are at. New Haven, Kentucky. All right, some small ones. All right, so we'll leave them all B for the time being. All right, let's then go over here and resort it. Since we're going to be using other people's money, let's get rid of low values. Let's go to latest property value, smallest to largest. Okay. Latest property value, 34,000. You're kind of on the brink there. Was that West Virginia or something? Evansville, Indiana. I have an investor in Evansville, Indiana. Okay, we'll take a look at that for a second here. All right, so the balances. Okay, so all right, that's not so bad. Let's get rid. Let's take it. Let's filter it one more time by principal and interest payment. Now we're getting somewhere small, like $103 a month. Oof. Let's go down to $250 and below. Okay, so let's go over here. We've got 12 notes that and they all got values. They're kind of borderline. Can be a good kind of first start for somebody. Let's just look and see where they're located. Houston, Texas. Okay, I might take a Carrollwood Drive. I'll drive by there this weekend actually. Mount Vernon, Illinois, Jefferson County. Okay, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We got some folks in Philadelphia, Quincy, Florida. Peoria, Illinois. Okay, New Haven, Indiana. Newtown, PA. Massillon, Ohio. Okay, York, PA. West Palm Beach, Florida. I know that area. Oh, I've actually bought I actually have an address. That's a condo, 2802 Crossley Drive, West East, I believe. And then Philadelphia, PA. Okay, so they're all worth taking a look at here just because they're kind of areas here, but I'll take a look at them. All right, because they're not so bad. All right. Now, one other thing to take a look at since we figured that, so those ROIs will come in consideration on those low payments when we run our numbers. Okay. Now, remember what I said, we want to figure out kind of the equity. All right. So let's resort this custom. Let's actually, we don't have to resort it. We can just go in here and say, okay, how much is there? So we're going to insert this in here, insert column. We're going to call this equity dollar amount. And then we're turn all column equity percentage. All right, so we're just going to go over here. Equity dollar amount is going to be equal to the property value minus estimated legal balance. We got to change that to a dollar amount. And then what we do is say, okay, we take that dollar amount and divide it by the current property value. Now this number is going to be a little off because I have to drop in some cases, but for the heck of it, we're going to leave that in there. Okay. That's going to be a percentage number. 66% equity, a lot of equity. All right. So we're going to copy those numbers, Control C, those two formulas we put in there. We're just going to run all the way down now. Yaddy daddy, we like the potty hottie. We're going to take this down to our 121 assets. Boom, shakalaka. Okay. All right. So anything that I insert, I like to make green. Green. Okay. Now I forgot to do one thing here. We had the occupancy, right? If it's vacant, we had single family, owner occupied, vacant secured. Okay. So let's go through here. 0. Occupied tenant, owner occupied, vacant secured. Okay. 0, 0, that means 0 doesn't mean they don't know. So let's just go to vacant ones. Not owner occupied, it doesn't bother me. Okay. Now these that are vacant secured, that means you're not going to have anybody move into them. Vacant, chapter 7, chapter 13, they didn't stay. Could you get a deed in lieu? Yeah, possibly. But let's look where these are at, if it's worth doing it. Okay. Pittsburgh, Texas. Since it's in Texas, I would take a look at it. Euclid, Ohio. If you're up in Ohio and you want to own a rental in that area, great. Russellville, Arkansas. I don't know where that's. Crawfordsville, Iowa. Don't know where that. Morrilton, Arkansas. Don't know. New Orleans, Louisiana. We'll take a look at that. Sanford, North Carolina. No. St. Joseph, Missouri. That's outside of Kansas City. Little Rock, Arkansas. I happen to have an investor there. Teague, Texas. Okay. Grand Forks, North Dakota. Now that's going to be damn cold. Okay. So I don't know where this one is at. It's too freaking small. Walton, Arkansas. Now, could you send a list of these to your friends in those areas? Yes, you could do that. Okay. All right. So we're looking at those. Okay. Since vacant secure, depending on the numbers, it might be a good deal as long as it's not ridiculous. Okay. So some of us would just delete all of them. Some of them would keep them in there. So we'll just keep those in there because I know folks, just about everyone in those markets that would be looking for it. Okay. All right. So now we've got that. Let's start looking at some of these cities. Like we don't have a clue. So we're going to go back here and resort, custom resort. And we're going to do this by city, state. Again, we're going to go back to pull them at state, then city, sorry. At a level, property, city. Okay. Great. Now what we want to do, now if you wanted to, and you wanted just to focus on performing notes, then you would filter through by occupied, and then go over here to the 3060s. Okay. So like at 3060, you would just, that's all you would do. There's only 3 of them. That's not very good. Most of these are non-performing. Okay. Or no payment history in a while. That's okay. Fine. Now you're probably going to foreclose on this stuff. Okay. So now let's get rid of this stuff that's just, we don't have a clue where the hell it is. Okay. Ralph, Alabama. Anybody know where Ralph, Alabama is? Anybody on the call here? Ralph, Alabama. Going once, going twice. Sold to the delete button. Okay. Deleting it. Russellville, Arkansas. Anybody know where that is? No, we're going to get rid of that. Norwalk, Connecticut. Probably not. Oh, one other thing I like to do. I almost forgot. Let me go back in here. Totally spaced out. Custom sort. I like to get rid of the high valued assets. Unless it's a state that I'm comfortable with. I'll just delete this level. And latest property value. Smallest to largest. All right. Somebody asked a question. Yes, Norwalk is a good near. It's good near New York City metro area. Okay, great. Take a look at. All right, so we're gonna go down here. You can see we're getting up here. Okay, so we don't have too many crazy over $500,000, because you start getting these $500,000 houses, the borrowers are going to fight you to stay, and they're not the funnest to deal with. So we got $500,000 here. Starting line item 112. We go over here. Norwalk, Connecticut. All right, there you go. That might be cheap and a bargain for you there. Pembroke Pines, Florida. We'll take a look at that because I like Florida. Charleston, West Virginia. No. That is where this University of West Virginia is at. Braden, Florida, and Hollywood, Florida. Okay, I would take a look at those because those are areas. But Revere, Massachusetts. No, too damn cold and takes too long to foreclose there. Okay, perfect. All right, now we sorted that by address. Okay, now we can make it a little bit easier, and now go back and resort it by city state again. I know I just seemed like I replicated myself there, but I wanted to. Sometimes you see tapes that have like $1 million asset and they got $500,000 in equity. It's just not worth fighting for, especially your first round or two. If you're in an area that numbers are like that, it may be worth it. Okay. Oh, give me a home. All right. So Norwalk, Connecticut. RJ is interested. I'm not a fan of Delaware. Yeah. Bartow, Florida. I'll look there. Bradenton, Castleberry, Dunedin, Hollywood, Jacksonville, Lakeland, Laurel Hill, Naples. There you go. O'Brien. I know where that is. Ocala. Orlando. Pembroke Pines, Plant City, Florida. I'll look at everything in Florida. Okay. What about any assets damaged areas, Naples? Yeah, I'll take a look at it, RJ. You got to realize I'm just going to, if it said Fort Myers, I could guarantee it probably needs some work. It's just an idea to take a look at this stuff. Okay. And if you're buying it up, there might be a big insurance payoff that you're getting taken care of too. Something to keep in mind. All right. But yeah, we're not assuming a hurricane rolled through there anytime soon. Okay. Just taking a look at it. I like that area. It could be further enough inland and maybe just got a little wind. We'll be due. Okay. Now we get into, all right, Youngstown, Florida, all right, Brunswick, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. Take a look at Missouri Valley and Iowa. No. We're just going to get the rest of these. Iowa and Illinois. Now, what the hell? Unless you're in Illinois, it's not really worth it. Elkhart, Indiana. I got somebody that lives in Elkhart. Okay. Evansville, yes. Harlan, I don't know where that is. Hartford City, Indianapolis, New Haven, I know. Lexington, Kentucky, I got someone to take a look at there. Bluegrass Avenue. Lookout, Kentucky, I know what Salvice, I don't know. Louisiana, I'll have somebody take a look at stuff in Louisiana. I know that Ola is way the heck out in the middle, and Winsboro is not really worth looking at. Massachusetts, don't really, yeah, they're just paying the ass. Too damn cold. Lower Lowell, Massachusetts, isn't that where Bulger's from? Springfield, Mass. It's a duplex. We take a look at it. Baltimore, question here from somebody. Kentucky is my home state. How do you get around that $1 million bond? You don't when you're buying the notes, but I haven't taken a look. Maybe it's an REO. I would more look to broker that to somebody locally, is what I'm saying with that, Linda. Good question, though. But I got a realtor who runs one of the top offices there in Lexington, in the neck of the woods, and he's looking for notes in that neck of the woods. So he's got a relationship. So let him buy it. I can broker it to him and go from there. That's how you get around it. You just broker it. Okay. Let's get rid of Springfield. Yeah, it's a duplex. We'll take a look at it. Baltimore's fine. Now we get into Michigan. Bay City, I like. Detroit, I'll take a look at. Chisholm, Minnesota. St. Louis County. Okay, I've got some actually family in the neck of the woods. We get into Mississippi, not Long Beach, California. That's Long Beach, Mississippi. Meridian, Pascagoula, Brookhaven. Kind of rough. Now, here's the thing. When you're looking at the cities and you don't know where it is, look at over at the street number. This is like State Highway 282. It may be out in the middle of nowhere usually. Okay. So it's probably best to get rid of that. Well, this is in Montana. Right? Wow, I haven't seen stuff in Montana in quite a bit of time. We might need to take a look at that, see if that's like a ranch or something. Let's look at that real fast. Probably out in the middle of Odunk. 235. Oh, well, we'll take a look at it. Montana. Okay. I haven't looked there. I'm going to Ahoskie, North Carolina, Eden, North Carolina, Farmville, Fayetteville, Greensboro, Rose Hill, Sanford. I like North Carolina. Not too bad. Okay. Albuquerque, New Mexico. We'll take a look at that one. Ohio, a couple of Euclid, Messian, Sayersville, Wadsworth. Okmulgee, oh, that's in Oklahoma. That's the little road. That's a very rural. And then we get into Pennsylvania. Darlington, Gratz, Lansdowne's outside of Philadelphia, Lower Burrell, Ole, Philadelphia. There's 4 in Philadelphia. Well, you can throw Lansdowne kinds of because it's near Philadelphia too. Now you're at Pittsburgh. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you have something that's like that, it may be worth jumping on a real estate group, or if you've got, look at your database and see if you got something in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, which I happen to have in both. So I'd have them take a look at those 4. All right. Now we're in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. Yes, I like that area. Hampton and Winsboro, I'll take a look at. Now we're getting into Tejas. Okay. Tejas, Texas. Okay. Brownfield, Cold Spring, Converse is right outside of San Antonio. Houston, Lubbock is actually what is picked as one of the friendliest cities to move to. Surprised. You don't want to go to university there. Hook 'em horns. Pittsburgh's kind of rural. Teague is kind of rural, but I got investors there. We'll take a look at that. Virginia, Portsmouth, Wise. I don't know. I'm going to just get rid of those. Washington State, Pasco, Washington. It's usually probably a pretty decent. I've got somebody up in Washington State. Even though they're a pain in the ass to deal with because they've got some strict licensing requirements in Washington State and Oregon. I've got somebody I can send that to and let them take a look at it. Okay. Wisconsin, I'm just going to get rid of Wisconsin. I'm not a fan. The taxes are too damn high in the cheese state. And then Charleston and South Charleston, West Virginia, I'll take a look at. Okay, so now I'm down to 97. Not so bad, right? There we go. Okay, so we're down to about a third of what we had. All right, so now we're going to go back over here and start looking at some of these numbers. All right. All right, so what we're going to do now, get some high PI and TIs. Did we do a 12-month PI and TI yet? We have not yet, have we? Okay. So we're going to do this. We're going to do boom. Months. PNI. I'm going to do equal to the PNI times 12. In a marine state, that's what we got. Okay, now let's do this. We have, I'm just going to, property values are all pretty much from 2021, 2022. So they're old and outdated before everything. So I'm just going to delete those. Not worried about it. I'm going to pull my own values anyway. Okay. All right. So we're going to re-rank it by equity percentage. Actually, we do it by, equity percentage. Is that right? Hang on here. We're going to do it by, how do I want to do that? Yeah, we'll do it. Let's custom sort it. Custom sort by equity percentage. All right, so we got some negative equity, right? They owe here, and here's a great thing. They owe $1 million. The house is only worth $438. Is that probably Florida? Venice, Florida, Sarasota. All right. That's okay. All right. So now UBB's 395, latest property value. So these are all negative equity. So you have notes that have no negative equity, and then you have the other half that have positive equity, right? Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at the latest property values, and we're just going to kind of run a quick number here. And so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So you have negative equity. So we're just going to say stair step percentage, okay, based on the value. UBB, so they negative equity, it's over 300, so we're going to say 0.6. It's 110, so we'll just say anything over 100, we're going to say 0.6, 60 cents on the dollar. That's going to be 0.45, 0.6, 0.55, 0.6, 0.35, 0.6, 0.55, 0.6, 0.6. Basically, we're going to be offering 60 cents on the dollar of the latest property value because they owe more than the property's worth. Okay. This is a stair step method. Remember, we were like, if it's going to be an asset at $30,000 below, the most you would be offering is like 25% of value. If it's in the 30s, 35%. If it's in the 40s, 45. If it's in the 50s, 55. Anything over 60 would be roughly, 60% and going above there. I'm going to start my bids at 60 cents. This is negative equity. So they owe more than the property's worth, so I'm going to go off the value. Okay. 57, I'm going to go 0.55. 0.6. These are just going to kill themselves. 0.6. 0.5. 0.6. I'm just going to copy this down. 130, 130. $6.5. Let's put that in there. 0.6, 60 cents a dollar. It's all going to be basically 60 cents on the dollar. It's just a rough idea. Okay. So 0.6 all the way down the rest of it. Could have just run that number and figured it out and probably have to go back and test it anyway, but that's okay. Okay, so that's what we're going to offer. Oh, these have equity. I can't do that. So sorry. I got all torn away. So anything that's got equity, or up to $20,000 in equity roughly. Yeah, because we know stuff has dropped in value. So we'll go up to 20, so 0.6. These here are probably going to be at 0.8 because they have equity. I almost forgot 0.8. We got to rechange that because these all have equity. All right. Probably what you're going to want. So you start getting up in bigger numbers. There we go. Now we can figure out an offer amount. Insert. Stair step would say offer amount. Then we just go basically 0 fixed property value times that. See, copy that formula all the way down now. Okay, now we have the offer at the 60 or stair step price. Now we got to figure our ROI. So one more column, and now we're going to take estimated mod ROI. By mod, I mean reinstatement, that kind of stuff. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our 12 months of P&I payments that we figured out over here. We come back on track and divide that by our offering number. And that should give us somewhere around 12 to 20% cash return. Some of these are going to be less. Okay. Now, yay, that's a percentage. Now we've got this filtered out by kind of what we expect them to want. Some of these are going to be low, 3%, 2%, exactly, because it's low payments and it's 80. It doesn't make sense on this stuff. So this stuff, we're going to go back in here and say, okay, what do I need to be at? With equity, let's just copy 60 cents all the way down. Even with equity, let's say 60 cents of the dollar of value. Now that gives us higher value. Now some of these, when there's all this equity, it just doesn't make sense to modify or reinstate them because the interest rate's so low, right? But now, guess what? Now you have the folks, the ones that you want to spend your time on, right? Okay. So let's go over here now and custom sort it. And do it by your estimated mod ROI, highest to lowest. Linda asked the question here, if they also bring 4 months of payments to the table at the beginning, do you include that in the amount of the 12 months P&I? No, because that would be 16 months P&I payments. Now you could do that to recalculate and run the same number, 16 months divided by your purchase. That's what you do. But I don't know if there's no guarantee that's going to happen. Now, I would rerun that in there when I submit my offers. They come back, and then I would run that calculation and see, okay, because we would dive in a little bit more. We know, take a look at the servicing notes. We can see that we're just doing this on the front end. Okay, we're only into this for what, 30 minutes of basically pulling due deals on it. But now you've got your estimated mod ROIs. Look at these, 38, 22. Okay, that's not too shabby. Now these are the ones that you're going to do for due diligence on. Look at those 12. Okay. And your offer amount for those 12 is a total of 916,000. Okay. And where are they located? Evansville, Indiana, Detroit, Michigan, Eden, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Columbia, South Carolina, Lower Bell, PA, Meridian, Mississippi, Bay City, Michigan, Euclid, Ohio, Hollywood, Florida, Orlando, Florida, Lookout, Kentucky, Castleberry, Florida, and Venice, Florida. But the reason you run these numbers, if they come back and say, oh, I want 60 cents on the dollar, you're going to run it. If they say they want 80 cents a dollar, you can see this doesn't make sense. I'm not going to overpay. It's hard for making any money. So you're not going to waste your time on a big chunk of these because they're higher value, they're lower interest rates. And that's one thing you got to take a look at here. Some of these are not bad interest rates, but look at this, like higher 10%, 6, okay, 6 is fine, 4%, 10%. These are all, let me put in an interest rate so you guys know what I'm talking about on that. It's not going to let me, it's a biggie there. 4%, they're going to be smaller returns to do this, so it just makes more sense to run it like that. Okay. Some of these have really, some good payments and some just don't that much. Okay. But that's how you highlight it. Then you start looking in, okay, now are these assets I want to take a look at? Do they look decent or do they look like shit? Okay. And that's going to be getting into jumping on the line, looking at quick values, because these are the ones I submit. And I would probably make my offer somewhere around these numbers here. Here's my offer for these, somewhere around, give or take a little bit less or higher or less. I'd probably get rid of this big one here if I was brand new and just focus on these smaller ones. But now you're making offers on 12 or 15 is better than just one. Okay. And that makes more sense for you to get the ball rolling. All right. But that's it. That's basically now what I look at taxes owed. Yes, I would look at taxes owed. This one, looking at the last payment dates, these were all, I'd also say, okay, this could be a foreclosure. I need to be less than 60 cents a dollar. If your values come back lower, which they're probably going to do because these are all over, early this year or last year, then your number is going to go. You're going to fade your bid even some more. and go from there. Okay, but that's a bit of an idea how to figure out your best. See, most of these are all negative equity. Some have a little bit of equity, but not much. And that's where there you are. That's your top 14 to make offers on, or top 13 for you, and going from there. And then you're making your offer, checking the values, checking taxes. And okay, taxes are a lot. Taxes, you can deduct your taxes from your offer amount, and you send them a spreadsheet. But if it looks pretty good, great. Let's submit some offers. See what's accepted. Okay, now that's different. If you like some of the higher stuff, you can look at some of the stuff and you can see that, oh, it's more foreclosure. If we go back over here and see, let's look at last payment date. If we re-rank it by last payment date, some of these are not going to be mods. These are going to be just straight up foreclosures, and you got to reduce. Like this one here, second one, 2010. It's not going to modify. It's going to be a foreclosure all the way. All right. The ones I look at modifying, I'm going to look at basically pre-COVID. So if it's like, okay, like this one, March 2022, probably a pretty easy mod. 2021, probably easy mod. 18, okay. 19, yeah. 2011, no, foreclosure. 2008, hell no, it's going to be a foreclosure. All right, they're going to drag it out. That's probably why I get rid of that one. Okay. But that's the thing to look at. Those are the numbers to keep in mind. That's kind of the basis to take a look at and go from there. Any other questions, comments, concerns? But there you go. That took us 37 minutes roughly to kind of go through to identify that stuff. And look, yes, yeah, 36 minutes and counting. You guys focus on the numbers. Don't fall in love with the asset. Don't start looking at photos and say, oh, that's so cute. I want to buy that house. Well, it's okay if you're looking for yourself. Yes, you can try to do that. But remember, if it's occupied, you're going to have to deal with people. If it's vacant is a different story. But take a look at, if somebody's living in a house and made a payment 5 years, they're going to fight you. If they filed DK years back, doesn't mean you can't get them out. You just got to know what to focus on and work your numbers and work your magic. Okay, everybody? Any other questions, comments, concerns? See if we got any comments on YouTube here. I meant to take that look earlier and I forgot. Sorry, guys, on YouTube. But we're here and we go through a lot more information. You guys have ever been a part of us on our classes. You know, we go through a lot. We'll spend most of the days, part of the day, probably wrap up Saturday, starting to go through that list. And then Sunday, diving in, doing due diligence on some individual deals there for you on the front end, like pulling taxes and values and going from there. Okay. There you go. If you're on YouTube, hey, give me a shout out. Say, hey, let me know. You can always book a call with me too. If you got questions about our classes, guys, or anything, you can go to talkwithscottcarson.com. That's talkwithscottcarson.com. Get signed up for our workshop this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, notebuyingfordummies.com. If you can't make it live, you'll get the replays, usually by the Tuesday after the class. You get the replays of the previous class when you get signed up by tomorrow. You can start learning and be ready to rock and roll come Friday. So go out. If there's no any other questions, go out, take some action, buddy. We'll see you all at the top. All right. Thanks, guys, for being live. And thanks for those that asked questions. Hopefully it was a valuable learning experience for us, just dissecting the tape to find the best deals. It doesn't mean you can't make offers and go back, adjust your numbers, lowball and the other stuff. You totally can. But those are the top 20 that we really want, the top 12, the good, dirty dozen that we want to waste your time with. Okay. Thanks, RJ. Thank you, bud. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening, everybody. Enjoy your week, and hopefully we'll see you this coming Friday on the virtual